Well, the new Superman movie is coming out tomorrow. As of the recording of this, it'll be today, the day that I'll put out this video, but tomorrow. Okay, you guys get the point. It is coming out very soon, and I decided to commemorate the occasion by talking about some Superman stories again. So let's get to it. Hello, everyone. Britton here, also known as Samoki Dude, and today I am back with another review regarding the Man of Steel himself, Superman. I have been doing some reviews of Superman stories before the new movie comes out, and we are so close. We are a day away, at least when I am recording this, we are a day away from seeing the new movie be released out to the world, though it has come out early, and there are some people who've seen it early, and the early reviews have been promising. But today, I've decided to commemorate the occasion. This is probably going to be my last Superman-related review for a while, but I am going to be talking about two Superman stories today. I'm going to be doing things a little different because I'm going to be talking about two stories today, but today, I'm going to be talking about two Superman stories, two iconic Superman stories from one of my favorite writers of all time, my favorite comic book writer of all time, as a matter of fact. You know him, you love him, Alan Moore. I know, it's a beautiful thing. Alan, he's been everywhere, you know, he's just doing his thing, and today we're going to be discussing two of his most iconic stories, his two iconic stories with the Man of Steel, which is For the Man Who Has Everything and Whatever Happened to the Man of Tomorrow. So let's get to it before I go on rambling for too much longer now. Now, every time I read one of Alan Moore's Superman stories, I get really sad. Not because these stories are particularly tear-jerky, though it does have its really great emotional moments, For the Man Who Has Everything in particular. But I get sad for the same reason I get sad after I finish Alan Moore's Swamp Thing run. I think about what could have been. I'm sad about Moore's loss from mainstream superhero comics. You know, what could have happened had DC Comics treated Alan Moore better? I mean, the possibilities are endless as far as I'm concerned. I mean, he really could have done whatever he wanted had DC treated him well. Now, that's not to say that Moore never touched the Man of Steel again after he left DC. I mean, he definitely wrote about him throughout his career, whether it be from Miracle Man, Top 10, even his take on Image's Superman XB Supreme, which I hear is very well loved by a lot of fans. Apparently, it's one of his really good comics from the 90s, but, you know, anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself. With that said, I do find that Moore has certainly betrayed an unerring fascination with Superman, and what he means as a character, as a symbol, as a myth, if you will. A lot of people like to think of Alan Moore as this moody deconstructionist, this guy who likes to take entertainment meant for kids and turn them into these grizzled, depressed sourpusses, but that's not who he is. Not at all. I mean, Moore can do sincerity, which for my mind is the most important part of making a great superhero story. And if it wasn't clear, if it wasn't apparent in Miracle Man, Swamp Thing, or even Watchmen for that matter, then I think Moore makes it unambiguously clear in his work on Superman. Moore's Superman stories may be brief, but Moore's staggering creative vision remains potent here. He takes leaps that few other creators would dare dream take. Much like his other grand works of the 1980s, his touch on Superman has impacted how so many people have written him since then. His touch so distinct that few others can really reach him, maybe except for certain creators I've already covered on this channel. Grant Morrison's All-Star Superman comes to mind, of course. Yet we also see Moore in rare form here, a Moore who had to work under constraints of such an iconic character, a Moore who had to work for it, for lack of a better word. And he doesn't miss a beat here. Both of the stories that he did with the Man of Tomorrow are exceptional pieces of sequential storytelling. The first one being For the Man Who Has Everything. So what lies in the heart of the Man of Steel? This is what Moore dissects in For the Man Who Has Everything. I can't really say that this story shows Moore at his cleverest or deepest or most insightful, but alongside the anatomy lesson in Pog from his Swamp Thing run, this might be one of the best single stories that Alan Moore ever told. There's little fluff here, and Alan doesn't have much time to waste. I mean, there are some parts where he does the purple prose that he's known for, but mainly, he's very constrained here. Many writers would balk at writing an icon such as Superman, but not Moore. He writes Superman as if he were a seasoned veteran coming in to show the boys, the kids, how it's done. It's also one of the most emotionally poignant of Moore's work, too, with some of his strongest emotional beats that he's ever done being in this very story here. I won't say too much about what happens because I think it's meant to be read if you're going to appreciate it more widely, but it's a very exceptional story, as I've noted. As I've noted before, Superman isn't as hard to write or relate to as some people think. He's not really too different from us regular folks, it's just his unique abilities make it to where it's often exaggerated into cosmic science fantasy levels. More brilliantly illuminates that within the heart of Superman is a man who has lost everything. For a man who supposedly has everything, as the story says, Superman is a character that's defined by loss. The loss of his people, the loss of his culture, the loss of his homeworld of Krypton. Now, I wouldn't say it drives him in the same way that it does his friend Batman. He doesn't beat up criminals in alleyways, to make himself feel whole, thankfully. But it is still there, and from that well, Moore creates a deeply tragic story about the life that Superman could have had, but sadly he can't. Joining him once again is his Watchmen collaborator Dave Gibbons, and once again, I am left saddened. Saddened that they didn't work together more. Moore never really seemed to have a Sean Phillips, a David Mazzucchelli, or a Frank Quitely, which, man, imagine if him and Frank Quitely worked together. That would have been amazing. An artist who complemented him perfectly in his technique and style. But if there was one person I find who comes close to that honor, I say it would be Dave Gibbons. I mean, Moore could throw 15 of his craziest ideas and story beats at Gibbons, and he'd be right there, ready to take the challenge. His storytelling and expressive designs are second to none here, and complements Moore's technique brilliantly. Though like with, say, a Steve Dillon, I do notice some similarities between the character designs here and the character designs in Watchmen. I mean, I couldn't help but think that Superman kind of looks like Dan from Watchmen, and it was sometimes distracting, but nonetheless, Gibbons' art here is unrivaled, I should note. This story, it's almost eerie reading for the man who has everything, as this story definitely explores paths that could have been and why it could never be. It's almost like Moore was warning himself on what DC was going to do to him, and how thoroughly the comic book industry would destroy his dreams. Now, of course, this is only speculation, and it might be a stretch for that matter, but the story becomes much more bitter in hindsight with that knowledge in mind. As Superman's dreams are crushed in this story, so are Moore's in our world. With whatever happened to the Man of Tomorrow, we see Moore's depiction of a possible ending for Superman. Now, there have been several variations of this story over the years, whether it be the aforementioned All-Star Superman or the iconic, if not super convoluted, Death of Superman. Joseph, if you watch this, really sorry, man. It's convoluted, all right? It's a bit convoluted. Iconic story, but convoluted. Moore put his hat into the ring with this concept, and what can I say? He knocked it out of the park. This story easily could have been convoluted, ironically enough, in lesser hands, but Moore does it with such gusto and finesse. I even remembered when I read this story when I was older that I had read moments from this exact story when I was a kid, though for some reason I had mistaken it for the Death of Superman for one reason or another, maybe because both of them were particular endings of Superman stories. Nonetheless, it was nice again reading when I was older, because I still think it holds up all these years later. Let it not be said that Moore doesn't have a good eye for the trends that comics would later follow, as whatever happened has the same lamentations for a bygone era that you would find in later works such as Marvel's or even Kingdom Come, which I've also covered on this channel. I'll link it down below. Unfortunately, though, once the genie that Miracle Man and Watchmen was unleashed upon the world, it could never be put back into the bottle. The Silver Age was leaving us by this point. So Moore gives it the eulogy it deserves, and who is more Silver Age than the Man of Steel? I mean, I can't really think of one. Moore got to this type of story before anyone else did, and one could argue that he really set the template with this story. Now, Moore definitely brings his playful, deconstructive flair to this tale of Superman, but he doesn't stoop to making Superman a miserable, conflicted shell of himself, because that's not who Superman is. This might be a sad story, but there's still that wry, Silver Age Superman style that flows through here. Despite this being the supposed end of Superman, at least the Silver Age version, it still remains a deeply felt letter about the relevance of Superman and what he means to the people who have loved him all these years. The ending of this story in particular is the most Superman ending that you could possibly get, and it never feels out of character. The love and passion that Moore brings here burns with intensity, and it still does all these years later. It must have been a dream for Moore to work with the Superman artist of the Silver Age, the Superman artist of the Silver Age, Curt Swan, and whatever happened, considering that he deeply loves that era of comic books. Just read some of his work like Miracle Man or Watchmen. His love for Silver Age is all over those two books. Swan might have been 66 when this was published, but the man hadn't lost his touch over the years. His colorful, vibrant style still rings true all these years later, and like the best writers, Moore works to his artist's strength, and Swan showcases the apex of his ability here. His style was a dying breed for sure, so why not go out in style? Now, Grant Morrison might have taken 12 issues to write All-Star Superman, but Allen only needed 1 or 2 to tell his tale on how Superman ends. And no disrespect to All-Star Superman at all. That's my favorite Superman story of all time. I love it, but nonetheless, it's a great story nonetheless. I once more feel the ache of the lost potential here, though. I can only imagine what else Moore could have done with Superman, or any of the other characters who populate the DC universe. Indeed, we could have missed out on From Hell or The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, as some people I've known have mentioned before, or any of the other strictly owned, creator-owned work that Moore would later go on to do. But given his infamous championing of creator-owned rights, I don't doubt we would have gotten those stories too, maybe in one form or another. But nonetheless, I still mourn, because I think Moore could have done so much more, if only DC and Marvel had let him. But even with how brief they are, for The Man Who Has Everything and Whatever Happened to the Man of Tomorrow are still some of the best Superman stories of the Superman canon. If it really speaks to their quality, Moore, who is notoriously opposed to any adaptations of his work. He hates most adaptations of his work. He actually liked Justice League Unlimited's adaptation of the former story for The Man Who Has Everything, which is a great episode, by the way. It's a fantastic adaptation of the story. But Moore actually liked it from all accounts. So make that with what you will. So that's all I have for today. I hope you guys enjoyed the double review that I did of Alan Moore's Superman stories, which is basically what I'm going to be calling this video. Anyway, hopefully you guys enjoyed this. If you like this, you can subscribe, do all that fun stuff. Comment down below. I love hearing from you guys. You can find me on social media. You can find me on Twitter. You can also find me on Goodreads and Letterboxd, where I write reviews that are probably more coherent than the one you just heard right now. You can also find me on Instagram and Blue Sky. I am starting to get the hang of Blue Sky. I'm really enjoying Blue Sky quite a bit. Like I said before, subscribe, do all that fun stuff. As my friend John Minton likes to say, it feels good when you do it. So, yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I definitely enjoyed recording it. And check out these stories. They're both really good, and hopefully the new Superman movie will be really good. And it does look like it has a lot of promise. Really hoping it's good. I'll let you guys know probably on Twitter or by the end of the month. So, yeah. Anyway, until next time, hope you guys enjoyed this video. See you guys later. Bye-bye.